Hello everyone, welcome to the AppsAnywhere 3.0 webinar. We're just going to give it another minute or two for people to join. I can see we've got quite a few attendees already, but we'll just give it another moment and then we'll get started. Okay, I think we'll make a start. Thank you all for joining today's webinar. I'm Spencer Vale, the product manager for AppsAnywhere, and I'm delighted to be able to share more information with you today about our next release, which is AppsAnywhere 3.0. I'm going to present to you kind of what you can expect to see in it, and there will be an opportunity for questions at the end. So you might have seen already in the chat an opportunity to ask questions. So if you have any questions as you go along, we'll try to answer them throughout this webinar. So just pop your questions in the chat. So before we kind of get into the detail of what's coming in AppsAnywhere 3.0, I just wanted to take you on a little journey of how we've kind of got to where we are today. Over the last sort of 18 months or so, we've been building towards this major release. If I go a step back before this slide, and I think if you've joined any webinars or any presentations I've done this year, you will have seen this slide before. So this was essentially our roadmap for 2022. Just prior to 2022, we released AppsAnywhere version 2.11, and in that we kind of released a new version of the user interface, and we made it an optional version to kind of give people a sense of the direction we're heading in with the user experience, and also as an opportunity for us to get more feedback. And we took that feedback on board, and we took that as well as a lot of investigation into kind of user experience and how we could make the portal as a step change of where we wanted to get to. And we took that all into version 2.12. So 2.12 came out in June this year. I hope a lot of you have already upgraded to that and have been enjoying the portal and the user experience that we now offer. So the main change there was a search-driven interface. It was a much more modern experience, and we have received feedback on that, largely positive, but some things also that we could do to improve it, which we have included in version 3.0. So I will share those with you today. And like I say, that was a first step in the direction of kind of really taking on board feedback and immediately implementing things in the next release. Also, at the same time with 2.12, as well as redesigning the portal, we actually re-engineered it as well. So there was a lot of work done to kind of change the architecture of the product and to make it more fit for purpose for the direction that we were heading in the future, in both version 3.0 and beyond. And this will really reap dividends as we get towards some of the ways that we want to work with you and to deliver new releases to you in the future. So that was version 2.12. Then that brings us up to date. So we took that feedback on board. We started to look at our new strategy around focusing on some core product pillars. So again, you may have seen these before, but I just wanted to reiterate them because in AppsAnywhere 3.0, we have added features or changes in the product that relate to each of these product pillars. So 2.12 was very much focused around user experience. We have continued to build on that in 3.0, but we've also added features in the delivery method space. So delivery methods is all about giving new ways or different ways to provide applications to students. So it may be that you utilize many delivery methods today. Well, we've added some new ones and improved some of the existing integrations that we have in 3.0. Higher ed is our focus. That is where we want to kind of make sure we're delivering use cases with the product that are fit for an education situation, rather than just a portal for applications in general. It is very much focused on higher ed, and we'll share again some new features that we've got in that space. And then finally, analytics and data. Analytics is obviously core to understand how a product is being used, how it's being and really analyze that data to get the most out of your technology and tools that you have. So there's quite a few things on this slide, various different features that fall under each of these different categories. What I'm going to do now is actually step through those changes that you can expect to see in 3.0. So let's start with the user experience. I mentioned that this new search-driven portal was released in version 2.12, and I hope you've been enjoying that. I think one of the main areas of feedback, and one of the things that we really kind of wanted to do to make it easier to access applications quickly, was to develop some new collections of applications for students that are kind of default, or they're present for people to jump straight into what they've been doing before. So hopefully you'll notice from this screenshot here that we have added 3 new collections. We have recent, we have desktops, and we have new. So let's start with new. New means applications that have been added to the system in the last month. So these will be in reverse order. So the most recently added application first. So when you click on that collection in this view, you get the last 6 that were added. So if anything's changed, if you want to see the new stuff, it's there for you. If you want to see all recent, or all new rather, in the one I've just been describing, then you can click on that button, or you can still jump straight into the view all apps. The one that I'm most excited about is the one that you see here, which is recent. So the difference between that and new is this is all about a user's most recent applications. So I think this is going to be a game changer for students, because although there might be hundreds of applications they're entitled to use, the chances are, as part of their day-to-day experience, they're probably only using a handful. So the recent collection will display the last 6 things, up to 6 things that they've launched, with the most recent being on the top left. Again, they can expand that list and see all the recently launched in order, or they can jump into view all again if they want to do that. But I know that me personally, I would benefit directly from this. There's just a few things I use every day, they're still there, and it remembers that I've been using those. Finally, I just wanted to call out desktops as well. So we did get some feedback on our approach to desktops in the last version. So we have introduced a desktops collection. So that is simply what you'd expect it to be. It is a list of desktops as opposed to applications, so that you can split those out if you want to do that. That's not a default collection. You'd need to choose to add that, but it is there for you if that's something that's important. Whilst we're on this screenshot, I wanted to share with you the dialog at the bottom here, where it says Firefox launched. This is something else that is essentially just purely done on feedback. In version 2.12, you might have seen that you get a pop-up every time an application launches. And the intention there is to give you more information, to keep you informed as to the status of your application. The chances are, though, most of the time your application has launched successfully. Now, the intention there was to give you an option to retry it if it had failed, or to let you know if we knew why it had failed. But the feedback we were getting was this gets in the way. We don't want a pop-up. We don't want to have to click off a pop-up. So what we've done to act on that feedback is introduce this small dialog at the bottom here, which is actually part of the portal itself. So on the launch of an application, that dialog will appear there. It's not a pop-up, so it won't overlay anything that you're working on or the application that you've launched. It sits there in the portal. You can still close it by clicking X or escaping from it. But if it does fail to launch for a reason, then you can still access that I need help option, which should give you more information about what to do next. So it's still there with the intention to kind of help people understand exactly what's happening, but it doesn't get in the way of what they're doing. Again, that was based on feedback. The most requested feature that we've had around the user experience has been dark mode. So we've introduced a dark mode in version 3.0. This is exactly what you'd expect it to be. And you know, if you're up all night burning the midnight oil, you no longer have to burn your eyeballs as well, because you can use this dark mode. So you can choose to switch. So you can select which mode you want, light or dark, but you can also select system preference too. So it will change it based on your system preference. Finally, in the user experience space, we've made one more change that is hopefully a nice quality of life change for people, for administrators in particular. So we have added, for those with admin access, an edit button on the more information page. So if I've clicked on the Firefox application, in this example, within the portal, to see more information about it, and I intend to edit this application behind the scenes, I now have this edit button that I can click on, and it will take me directly to the Firefox edit page within admin. So for anyone testing, are the applications working as you'd expect them to? Are there things that you need to change there? It's, like I say, a nice quality of life change, just to make it a little bit easier, reduce the number of clicks to access the application that you're trying to edit. Finally, in the user experience space, and with the intention to again reduce the number of pop-ups, we're going to be releasing a new version of both the Windows and the Mac client. So in this example here, you've got the Mac client, and what we've done is reduce the number of pop-ups that occur during validation, when the client is updating itself, when there are third-party client updates. By default now, they will actually appear just as a busy icon within either the menu bar on Mac or the system tray in Windows. As you can see here in the Mac example, it's just a small change to that icon so that you still have a visual indication that something is happening. You can click on that icon and you can open up the pop-up to see more information if you want. But the idea is to not get in the way of the student experience by having unnecessary pop-ups, particularly around updates, which may occur at a time when actually you're in the middle of doing something. On the note of client updates, we have changed the logic to the third-party client update so that it doesn't get in the way of your experience. So if a third-party client update is required at a time when you are intending to use that client, it will now reschedule that for a more appropriate time, so it doesn't interfere with your launch process unless it's essential. Again, you can get a visual indication of what's happening when it does update, but most of the time it will all happen in the background and keep that client experience as smooth as possible. Okay, so that was everything for user experience and user interface. Now let's have a look at delivery methods. So here we have a couple of new delivery methods that we're adding to AppsAnywhere to give more tools in the toolbox for you to select from to deliver applications to students. So the first is Frame. So that's Nutanix Frame. We now have the option to direct the user to a Frame desktop or a Frame virtual application. And you can get launch data in the analytics engine around the usage of that Frame launch link. And we've also added an integration with Amazon AppStream 2.0. So again, this is another way of generating a streaming URL for AppStream, another way of delivering applications virtually. And we have added the option to include this as an embed rather than a streaming URL. So what that means is that we've been able to put a little bit more control over this. When an AppStream application is launched, if that user then launches another application using the same AppStream environment, what would have previously happened in a streaming URL and does happen with the AppStream technology is it will open another tab with that same kind of session happening there, and it will be a little bit confusing as to which tab or window is which. So what we've done with this embed method is allow us to be able to actually say, you don't need both open, this one we're now closing for you, and the student doesn't lose anything, it's all there in the same session. So there's a little bit more to the AppStream integration. Just like the Frame edition, we have added AppStream launch data, so that is available in the analytics engine in 3.0. I'll now move on to higher ed. So one of our most requested integrations we have delivered in 3.0. So this is a Blackboard Learn session. This is integration with the Blackboard LMS. We already had such an integration with Canvas. Blackboard was the next most requested, so we have added that integration. It means students can now launch applications using AppsAnywhere directly in Blackboard for the associated course for that application. So that creates a nice user experience if they're used to accessing their courses within Blackboard. By doing this, we have improved the kind of UI for the Canvas integration as well. So anyone who's already utilizing the Canvas integration, when you upgrade to 3.0, you'll be able to kind of get that slightly improved experience too. Also in the higher ed space, in terms of features that have been highly requested, we've been asked multiple times, please can you remove the necessity for an LDAP connection. So what we've done here is introduce a new kind of a new way to add SAML attribute mappings within the system. And using those SAML attributes, you can actually map provisions or devices or users to within AppsAnywhere itself. So you're kind of using SAML as an alternative to that LDAP connection right there. And we've made it so that you can use an AND experience or an OR experience in terms of those groupings. And I think this is going to be a really good feature, and a lot of people have kind of requested this one. So this is highly requested. Moving into the analytics space now, there's a lot we can do around analytics. And one of the things that I've often been asked about is the sort of limitation around the number of licenses that people get as a default. So what the vision is really here is to provide more of the information where you need it. So in this example that is going to be relevant in version 3.0, we're bringing application launch data directly into the admin page around those applications. So in this example, you can see the number of launches in the last 30 days for each application, the rolling average over the 30-day average, the total number of launches in a year, and the total all-time launches. Those columns are sortable, so you can sort the application by size or number of launches. And I think that provides the information in a much more user-friendly way than having to go off and be an expert in developing dashboards, analytics dashboards. You don't need to be an expert. If you have an analytics license, then you can jump into that data. If you don't have an analytics license, but you are an administrator, you'll still be able to see the data here present in the application screen. If you want to edit an application, we're also bringing that data into the edit application screen as well. So you've always got that there. And this is just the first step on a road to bringing more application data into these pages. We did actually experiment with this a little bit in version 2.12, and you might have seen this before in terms of the number of logins, the number of active users, and the number of devices seen on the dashboard. In 2.12, this would only work for people with analytics access, on that principle of actually making it available to all administrators without the necessity for an analytics license. We have made that change in this version, so you can now see that here. There are other things we can do in this space, an example being the number of launches of a delivery method rather than an application, for example. But the ones that I've shared today are the ones that are coming in version 3.0, so they give a taste of the future when it comes to analytics. Whilst we're on this page, I'll just share with you a little bit more in the delivery method space. So it's now possible to configure, if you're a VMware user, you can now have an SSO experience with VMware, and we tell you directly in the admin pages exactly how to configure that. You'll notice down the right hand side here on this page that we've changed the layout a little bit, and again the intent is to give more information where you need it. So rather than just a list of features, we're now telling you a little bit more about what these new features are and how to access the kind of documentation around them, or videos, or whatever it may be that we provide in order to help you set these new features up. Again, that's the stepping stone to where we'd really like to get to with the product, and I'll explain a little bit more about that in a few moments time. So that's version 3.0. One more thing to add to that, we've added some quality of life changes to the AVD, Azure Virtual Desktop integration that we have. We intend to do more in that space in the future, but again, you will see improvements there, such as the ability to exit a launch in AVD if you made one. So there's a few tweaks that we've made, but that is everything now that you've seen in 3.0. That's value delivered across all 4 product pillars. So I think that's a great set of features. Really excited for people to get their hands on that and give me some feedback. So I showed this slide earlier. Now let's talk about what comes next. So version 3, why version 3? So I do get asked that. Version 3 really represents a couple of really significant milestones when it comes to AppsAnywhere. So the last time we did a major release of version 2 is when we shifted from the Software 2 hub to AppsAnywhere as you know it today. Version 3 also represents a significant step. We've got all these value sets in the product pillars that have come in version 3. We've got the new UI, and we've also got AppsAnywhere Cloud. So I'm pleased to be able to kind of share with you more information about AppsAnywhere Cloud. This is something that is available right now if you want to get in touch with us and find out a little bit more information about it. If you would like to have AppsAnywhere hosted in the cloud rather than on premises, then this will give you all the kind of things that you've come to expect from AppsAnywhere, but with none of the on-premises headaches that you might have to think about today. So, you know, this is a significant kind of opportunity here, and we will be building on this in the coming months and years. So today, if you take AppsAnywhere Cloud, it will be exactly the same AppsAnywhere that I presented you today, just hosted in the cloud. But the intention now is for us to build on that and to get to a point where we're actually releasing changes more frequently, being able to kind of release fixes, release new features as and when they are complete and tested, as opposed to bundling them all up into a big release that requires a large upgrade process. So you can expect to see over the next year or so the way we kind of shift to that movement. With 3.0, it sort of represents a turning point and a way for us to be able to then say each minor release from now on will probably be smaller than what you've come to expect in previous releases, but I would expect them to be to be more frequently too. And surely with that, also with AppsAnywhere Cloud, we can do that upgrade in place with a lot less hassle for you to undertake there. So that I'm really excited by this, and like I say, this is kind of a really big stepping stone for us, and I hope you're excited to kind of see where we go next with that. There are lots of different ways we can make changes here. So here's just some examples of some planning that we've already done. It's very in the early days. There's some screenshots of kind of designs and concept artwork and plans that we've been making in sessions here. Here's an example of a potential change to the dashboard that we may make in the future. So I showed you on the earlier in 3.0 how we've made some changes to bring in more information to the dashboard. Well, we would like to get to a place where things are a little bit more kind of even more kind of user friendly in terms of that admin experience. So taking you through the setup process, presenting training videos in the place that you need them. There's all sorts of things we can do in this space, and this is just concept design, but I'd wanted to share that with you today to give you just a little insight into kind of where we're potentially headed with AppsAnywhere. And as I mentioned, moving to the cloud gives us that opportunity to kind of think about how we release more frequently and get the best version of AppsAnywhere to people as soon as it is ready, rather than bundling things up into big releases. The intention, though, is to do something about that on premises as well. So if you are, you're not an AppsAnywhere Cloud, you're an AppsAnywhere on-premise, we'll still try and find ways moving forward to make the upgrade process a little bit easier for you than it is today. And that is probably through this kind of method that I've described of more frequent releases, but less in them, and providing, if we create the right tools and automations there, we can potentially deliver them in place rather than the kind of extensive upgrade process that you have to go through today, and therefore reduce the risk associated with an upgrade for everybody. So I think that is an ambition that not only helps cloud users, but also on-premise users as well. So that's just a little insight into the future of what's coming next year and beyond. Hope you like what you've seen in AppsAnywhere 3.0, and I hope you're excited to upgrade to that as soon as it's the right time for you. I'm now going to open the floor to questions. I see if we've got any coming through on the board. If you're wanting to ask a question, then please drop one in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them. So let's have a look. Okay, so I've got a question about dark mode here. So is dark mode persistent between devices? So it's not persistent at the moment. It's saved in the browser. We do expect people might want different things on different devices or different times of day. So it is all about the kind of device that you're on. So thank you for your question. So I've got a question here about the user favorites and recent lists. Are they stored server side and follow users across multiple devices? So yeah, recently launched is a user level collection there. So it will be what the user has launched across devices as opposed to what is just on that device itself. We've got another one here coming through. Any plans to integrate with Brightspace LMS? Yes, so we've got Canvas and Blackboard coming in 3.0. Brightspace is highly requested. It is very much on the list for us to integrate with as well. So yes, expect to see that coming in the not too distant future. Another question about dark mode here. Will dark mode come to admin. It's not coming to admin in 3.0. We have delivered that just in the portal side. There's a little bit more for us to do to kind of add that to admin. It's something we'd like to do. Obviously, we need to kind of see where that might sit within the priorities, but right now it is just on the portal side. Let's have a look. Any more questions? I've got a question here about when it's released. Yeah, great question. Should have mentioned that earlier. So AppsAnywhere 3.0 is going to release this month. We're just putting the finishing touches to our testing, making sure it's all kind of ready to go. We expect in the next week or so we'll be publishing an announcement about its release. So it will release in this month. Slightly different to previously. We won't be upgrading on a first come first served. We will approach this more around we will approach customers around kind of customer need basis. So there might be some customers that need to upgrade based on how old their previous versions are and things like that. So we will approach people on a slightly more risk and customer based approach to first come first served. But as I say, yes, within December, in the next week, I would imagine we will be publishing the announcement around its release. Another question come through here. Will Intune be added as a delivery method? Intune is something that I have started to hear more and more frequently when speaking to customers. I'll add this request to the list because yes, it feels like something that we will need to provide an integration for fairly soon. So yeah, I can't say exactly when we'll be doing that right now, but it's certainly well talked about and therefore something we'll be taking a look at in due course. Another LMS question here, will there be integration with Moodle? So yes, just like Brightspace, it is well requested. Moodle is probably the biggest one that we haven't integrated with yet. So I would expect, similar to Brightspace, we'll be approaching that one relatively soon. Okay, I think that's it for questions. If there are any more questions that come through, we'll add those to the list. We will be sending out an email with a link to the webinar for those that want to watch the recording and with the answers to the questions, and also providing access to the information on 3.0. So we have a website and a blog and also a brochure around the release. So we'll be providing a link to all that. So watch out for that in your inbox. Thank you all for your attendance. Appreciate you all joining and for your questions. Hope you like what you see in 3.0. Always love to hear your feedback. So as soon as you've got your hands on it, please let me know what you think and what else you'd like to see in the product, and we'll do our best with that. So thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.